I don't know. You can, up in the corner, you can hit, what is it called where you can see all of us? I'm seeing everybody.
Yeah, no, I see people across the top. Okay, good. No worries. The new system here.
Okay.
So the reason I got involved with Nikken was I was looking for a way to provide financial security for myself and my family. Okay, so as a business, as an opportunity, I'd been in the industry since 1975. I tried it many times. I had very little success. I kind of understood it, but I guess because I didn't have much success, I didn't understand it. So when I got involved, I was in a position with a family that I needed to make something happen. Okay, so that's important. Now, in the sense of, and this is going to answer some questions that have been addressed so far, but more importantly, I want you to understand who I am, what I've done, and where I've gone. Now, in the compensation plan, there was a title called Royal Diamond. And in that compensation plan, that title called Royal Diamond said you had to have 6 frontline platinums for me at that point in time to get that job done, or 3 diamonds. Well, I really wanted that position. So I went after that with a vengeance. I mean, I just didn't sleep. So I just went after it. And I understood what had to be done in order to get there. And there was a great team. There was great momentum. There were a lot of good things happening to support that idea. And then in 1999, when I reached that, I had a realization that I was one of very few that was doing that well, and I decided to flip the coin and look the other way. In other words, look back down and through the organization. And I went through a period from 2000 to 2007, traveling, mentoring, teaching, doing all those kind of things one-on-one, until through Jeff Van Blerkum, I discovered bone health. And in 2007, I realized at that time that bone health would have been, could have been, was the key to Nikken's future, because of its ability to communicate an idea quickly and resonate with the majority of the population. And I've kept statistics all along the line, and in 2007, that was the only up year I had statistically from 2000 to present time. Very interesting, and we'll talk about that because it's got something to do with now. I was very involved with Nikken in providing data and information. I think I was talking to you, Madeline, at sometime in the 2000s. One of the key issues for me was field leadership. In other words, if we go back in history and look at the success of Nikken, the reason for success in Nikken in the 90s was there was one field leader that was really leading the field. Now, he was leading the field by his persona, his actions, not what he said, what he did, you know, the Team Diamond events and so on and so forth, the involvement of people. And if we look at historically at statistics, when he left in 2000, everything fell apart. So if we correlate data, statistics versus results, and look at it as a picture, because that's really all a statistic does. It's a measurement of some kind of production or performance. It was very date coincident to him leaving that Nikken downturn. And I have all the statistics, and I wrote a big paper on this, presented it to all the leaders in 2010 at a meeting. And one of the things that I suggested was what I thought the next leader of Nikken was Mike DiMuccio. And that was 10 years ago. This is significant because of what's happening today. And also around that time frame, we had a group called the Royal Alliance was started, but with that concept, we broke up into teams, and I was the head of the compensation plan committee. And at that time, we evaluated the compensation plan. I looked at the statistics. We evaluated the production and the performance. And one of the interesting statistics that I looked at was the percentage of silvers qualifying and the percentage of silvers going to gold was really low in comparison to the data a decade prior. And so in evaluating time, our economy, what was going on in society, how things were. I mean, when I started, we didn't have a smartphone or we didn't have the internet. So I could call somebody up and say, hey, I got the hottest thing since sliced toast, but if you want to see it, you got to come up to this hotel and meet me. And of course, they'd show up. But today it's a different story because they've got this thing called the internet and a smartphone, and they can Google search and so on and so forth, and they can make a decision before you have an opportunity to make a decision. So it's a different playing field. It's just, I mean, it's no different, but it's just a different playing field. The mechanics are going to be the same. So statistically speaking, back when we had the group that was evaluating the comp plan, my first suggestion was that we lower the bar on going silver, and I said even lower than 6,000. But 6,000 was a number we talked about, okay? And that's very significant to today as well. And there's a reason for that, because in a book that was written by a guy in 1999 called Vested Interest, I think I know the guy who wrote this book, but anyway, he said the key to network marketing, what makes it work, is the need to qualify. And it's very interesting, and the analogy for those that haven't read the book is that, well, if you go to work for somebody as a salaried employee, you work for a week, and then you get paid. So you're going to work for your week because you want to get paid. So you have a vested interest to work your week, and you keep on doing that, and the hook that the employer has is he's always a week ahead of you. And he can always fire you and keep that week's pay. Well, in our business, the hook is we have to qualify to get paid. So, and today you got the QQ, PP, stuff, and all the significant numbers and names. I mean, I don't know how they came up with that one, but by God, that's a tongue twister, and even took me some time to get it. And I was too proud to call anybody. I just worked it out. But anyway, so you got those things. You have to do 100, you have to do 1,000, you have to do 500, and so on and so forth. Well, complexity was another big problem with the compensation plan. In the book called Vested Interest, chapter 4 was, show me the money. And one of the things that I found all the time where people weren't making it is they didn't understand their compensation plan. They didn't know how they made money. Now, as strange as this may seem, what you don't understand or what you don't know, you won't talk about. And if you don't talk about it, you're not going to promote it, and you're not going to learn about it, and you're not going to figure it out, and it's going to go right over. I mean, again, you're going to leave the business because you've got too many misunderstood concepts, words, ideas, whatever the case may be. It just doesn't make any sense, and you're going to get confused, and you're going to quit. And so I watched that for a gazillion years, and it's fraught in the industry, it's fraught in sales, it's fraught in the world, it's fraught everywhere. This is just part of a problem. Okay, so 2017, now I went through the 2016 era. I watched this company make some changes. I understood the pressure of the FTC. I've dealt with those guys personally. I've always known that Nikken is a little bit nervous when it comes time to dealing with that. The risk part of Nikken is just not there, and especially I'm not going to, mention any names, but he wants this conservative. It's a big company, and he wants to protect it, so on and so forth. So let's play by the rules of the game. But I think that the shift was too dramatic, too quickly, and as a result, it caused confusion. in any confusion, people leave. That's just the phenomenon of confusion. You know, you look at your own household. If you have a relationship and it gets too confusing, somebody's going to leave. You know, if you go to a job and the company's all confused, they don't know what to do, you're going to leave. Somebody's going to leave. I mean, it's just, that's what happens. But through thick or thin, I learned one thing in business in my time of growing up was that if you're going to play any game, you play by the rules of that game. And if you don't want to play, then go. But if you're going to play, then you play by the rules. Don't complain. Go or stay. But if you're going to play, you play by the rules. So the rules were this is what you had to do. So Madeline said, yes, I've qualified as a Royal Diamond ever since I've been a Royal Diamond. And all throughout that period, I did what I had to do. I found my customers somehow, some way to make sure I was qualified because I had, you know, a pretty ideal organization. I had the legs, I had all the continents covered, and that's because I built it right in the first place, because I understood something. Now, somebody asked this question, I'll bring this up right now, is you know, about getting somebody started when they think they need to know much or know enough to get started. Well, I was a very firm believer that one of the reasons we just didn't have an indoctrination process where one was educated properly, and another reason why I wrote this book called Vested Interest, it was based on an article. There were 10 things you need to know, and I'll reproduce the article. I'm building my webpage again. I'll put all this stuff on back up there, and because it hasn't changed anything. Nothing has changed in that respect, because I'm not talking about a style or a technique. I'm talking about a concept of how something works. I mean, you know, you got all these modern toilets today, and you push buttons and they can shoot water and they can clean you up and make you feel like $1 million. But the bottom line, the toilet's still a toilet. Still does the same thing. It gets rid of waste, and you know, it still goes down the drain and goes to a sewage plant and gets clean. They can have all kinds of new fancy gizmos. Bottom line is the business is still a business. So in looking at knowledge is power. So obviously, if someone is skittish because they don't feel they've got enough knowledge, then forcing them ain't going to work. Give them the knowledge. I mean, but so let's back this up again and look at it in a different perspective and come back to you and come back. Well, and let's deal with the first question. Why is the structure change so important? Well, because it's easier, it's faster, and one can build an organization quicker and create vested interest. But let's understand how network marketing works. See, network marketing works when you have a team of people all in one row on the same team working for the same objective, and the effort of that group supports the group. See, when you're by yourself, it's tough. When you have a team, it works. So you go silver, you break a silver, and then you get underneath them and break a silver, and get underneath them, break a silver, et cetera, all the way down the line. While I saw in the early days in 1990 that if you were a silver and you wanted to get paid, you had to have at least 4 levels of silver below you. If you were gold and wanted to get paid, you had to have 6, a platinum 8, a diamond 10, and a royal diamond 12 to really lock in that structure, because you would get, you know, as a royal diamond, you get paid down to the 6th level. Well, that 6th level guy has to have a whole bunch below him to keep him interested. That's how it works. See, how does anything work in this business? It works when you see results below you. If you don't see results below you, then to you it doesn't work. And then if you can't get results below you, what are you going to do? You're going to walk away. So what was happening in most of the 2000s, and after the internet came into play, the internet changed the playing field of the requirements that would now be necessary. I mean, okay, let's look at Sears Roebuck. Sears Roebuck is going out of business. It's going to get rid of all its stores. Macy's is closing stores. All these big box stores are closing. Why? Because a new model has come out that's taking away their business. So from the standpoint of the new model that's taking away their business, doesn't mean the model itself can't work, but it's got to be a slightly new structure. That's all. But there's still going to be buying and selling between a customer and a manufacturer. But it's now going to be done on the internet or in another method. So in the sense of our structure and network marketing, we don't care about retail because we work word of mouth. And we're underground in that sense. And so you talk to Bill, and Bill talks to Joe, and Joe talks to whomever. You create this structure, but here's the key is what's going to cause that person to get involved. And that's the trick to this business. You see, you've got to find out what's needed and wanted and then present that solution to that person, because Nikken is a solution. Just like Amway's been a solution, or Shackley's been a solution, or Herbalife's been a solution, or anything that anybody does, the perception is what they see this is a solution to a problem or challenge they have in life, and the way you present it and your personality attracts the attention. Now you go out to somebody and say, I want you to go sell soap door to door, and they say, I'm not going to do that. But what have you done? You've offered them a solution before you found out what was important to them first. And so in the beginning of talking to somebody, you got to find out what's needed or wanted. Now, I've said this a bazillion times. You've all heard this from me. I would get into a conversation, and as soon as I could ask the question, I wanted to know, would you be interested in making an extra $5,000 a month? And the reason why I asked that question, there were two of them. One is I knew how to show somebody that. And two, I wanted to see how quickly they answered that question or not. Because if they hesitated with that question, that was something that was not on their radar at this point in time. And if they hummed and hawed and queued and aid, question, answer, question, I don't know, I'm not, then they were not decisive enough to make a decision. Here's the key, it's making a decision. And we're going to address that on some, how do you get started as an old timer and moving into a new paradigm? Make a decision. You're going to do it and go. It's where we get caught up is we don't make decisions. We hem and haw, I'll just like, why am I here right now? I'll tell you why. And I've been tracking statistics. I play this business as much as I do and have done for the last 15 years. I monitor my production. I take calls when people call me. I qualify every month, and I track and I record volume. I've got it on my computer. I can tell you what I did this month, 5 months ago, 10 months ago, 6 years ago, 20 years ago. It's all recorded. It's all logged. I can tell you month to month, day to day, what kind of a performance my business did. Well, why did I do that? Well, it's my business. It's important to me. I put my kids through college. I've had a wonderful life. I've made, I'm not going to brag, I've made a lot of money. I've been able to live a lifestyle, and I'm still living that lifestyle, and I'm still getting paid, and I have a perfect organization that's always qualified. How can I complain? What do I attribute that to? Well, I attribute to because I understood what to do. I was hungry, and I did the work, and I made sure I wouldn't quit till I did it. Am I any different than anybody on this phone? No, not at all. But I learned some valuable lessons that were very important, and one of them is making a decision. Well, why am I here today? Well, when I started to track the statistics and I knew there was a new change coming, all of a sudden the numbers started to increase. Now, this is a strange phenomenon, but the numbers started to increase. Volume went up. So from January to February, now this is really strange, without any kind of additional, special or new product or whatever the case, volume went up 23%, my income went up 16%. Right now, this month, February to March, I'm projecting a 20% increase in volume over the previous month and a 23% increase in income. So I backtracked it. I looked at November, and I've heard what Ben said about, and Michael said about the 66% in Canada, but it was a product launch. Come on. I can go back and tell you all the product launches that we've ever had, and we always did well. But the catalyst to that product launch was the coordinated marketing effort of launch sites and putting a team together. And these two changes created a positive impact for the first time since 2007. So I said, well, this is positive. I can support this and go after it because it's a positive change. And I've been fighting for positive change for years. And I got excited again, plain and simple, and said, okay, I'm in. Let's play. So I've sent out a blind email to my organization to find out what the heck's going on and said, to get some response. And then I said, you know what? And I hadn't seen anything. I said, I'm going to call Mike DiMuccio because if anybody knows what's going on, he does. And well, wouldn't you know, Mike's the guy that's leading the field. So if we look at going back in history and time and saying, okay, what was the catalyst? Well, the catalyst back there was a guy leading the field that got everybody motivated and excited. And people just kept hopping on the bandwagon. The group got bigger, the group got bigger, the group got bigger, the group got bigger, there you go. So to support that idea, because I know that it works, that's why I'm supporting that idea, is jump on the bandwagon. I've already started calling people. I'm already in mentoring calls. I've already solved problems. I'm already getting people excited. And so I'm a catalyst to do, to make this thing work. So that's why I came back. And that's why the structure I'm so excited about, because you can get there quicker and build the structure that makes it work. You see, again, and you got to get a piece of paper and you got to draw this out. You see, when you're building a team, it's always the guy at the bottom that's most vulnerable, and that's where you got to work. And if you've got 4 or 5 people above helping you work with that guy on the bottom, life's easy. It works. It's not an effort. It's not hard. Okay, from a structural standpoint. I'm going to tick off a couple things because we talked. Okay, so then now here's what I'm doing, and here's what I'm good at, and here's where I'm going to spend my time. I am not going out and sponsoring a new person now. I'm not going to do that. And one, I don't need to. I've already got thousands of distributors. Where I'm going to work is with the people that haven't got what I've got yet and want it. Because here's another key element, is hungry. What do you do when you're hungry? You feed yourself. So it's the hungry person that's going to do more than the guy that just had a cheeseburger and French fries and a Coke and is well satisfied. He's just going to sit there like a bump on the log. But the guy that's hungry is really going to go after the food. And again, it's the same thing here. There have been styles and things written, going after successful people and so on and so forth. Well, yes, no, that's not a criteria. The criteria is that person hungry for something, and can you dangle the right item that person can be hungry for? Some people were hungry for recognition, and what this field of network marketing opened up was a stage that if they reached the top, they could have the stage. I didn't realize this, but it was true for me. But I remember I did this seminar in San Diego on money, and I was a diamond or something like that, and came off the stage, and Al was there, and I said, Al, they love me. They absolutely love me, and they love this talk on money. You got to put me up on the stage more. And he says to me, well, Dave, come to Royal Diamond. You'll get more stage time. So 2 years, busted my nut and got to Royal Diamond. And then I go and I say, okay, I'm a Royal Diamond. I said, well, we cut the stage time down. You only get 10 minutes now. But, the moral of the story was I was motivated because of that. I had the money, and the money was coming in left, right, and center. And I found another thing that I was motivated to get involved with. So part of the criteria of you building a business is to match the people that you're communicating with. Everybody's not supposed to do this. Otherwise, we'd have been done years ago, and there wouldn't be an opportunity. It's like that. I mean, that's choice. I mean, again, this is an opportunity. It's not a right. It's an opportunity, and it's a business opportunity. And so in invested interest, there were 10 chapters. Chapter 1 was treat it like a business. Well, if you're going to treat it like a business, let's say you bought a franchise for Ace Hardware. It's going to cost you $500,000 just to buy the franchise. Then you got to find the building, and then you got to find all the supplies. And do you think for a second that they're going to let you slide on what's in your inventory and reporting and paying attention and having employees? And man, it's a lot of work. And for some reason, people get involved with this and they think, oh, this is network marketing. Oh, this is a piece of cake. Ah, I can work from home. Oh, I can get up at 10 o'clock. Ah, I don't even have to put clothes on. I can just get on the phone and nobody's going to know me, blah, blah, blah. And I make a couple of phone calls and nothing happens, and I'm going to get depressed. Well, one of the things I had to learn in building this business is what could I do, or what happens when I do something. In other words, okay, so we know the process. What's Nikken made up of? It's made up of people who are selling product to other people. That's what it's made up of. You're trying to build an organization. You've got a compensation plan. You better darn well know that thing inside out, backwards and forwards. Why? Because it's your lifeline. If you don't know your compensation plan, I mean, just think about this for a sec. That's a communication tool to solve somebody else's problem, because you might be talking to somebody and he says, you know, God, I just got fired or laid off a $20,000 a month job. I need to find something that in the next couple of years I can make $20,000. Well, if you can't show them how to do that, and all you're doing is flapping your jaws and coming out, well, join Nikken and share the idea, blah, blah, you know, ain't going to work. Because you're in a home, you're in an apartment, your plumbing breaks down, you got no water. What do? Sit there and twiddle your thumbs and, well, let's see if I can figure this out, or call some of my girlfriends or boyfriends and see if they know what to do? Or do you go right to the professional? You go right to the professional. Why not? That's the way we do it. So you got to be that professional. You got to know what you're doing. Now, do you have to be the superstar? No, but you got to be a student of what you're about. And the more you are a student, the more professional you are, the more you know, the easier it becomes to attract attention. Why? Because people are looking for a solution to problems. Do you think we live in a problem-free society? It's fraught with problems. All day long. Problem, 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 problem. Do you think the economy is stable? Not at all. So this then becomes a solution for that. And as a result of that solution, again, I wrote out the concepts of what you need to know. You got to treat it like a business. Well, you live in an apartment, you're a single mom, you have a couple of kids, you don't have an office. How do you treat it like a business? Well, dedicate a space. This is what you're doing. Have your goals set aside. Know where you're going to go. Have your work hours set aside. Doing network marketing doesn't mean that it's not a 9 to 5 or a 10 to 10 or a 12 to 12 hour business. You're the boss. You're the CEO. You're the CEO, the president, the secretary. You're the janitor. You're the delivery guy. You're every position. When you build a network, you build leverage and help. Very important to understand. You got to have a goal. Why are you doing this? You got to have a plan. Number 5, vested interest was a plan. I bet you dollars to donuts that the majority of you don't have a written plan that you follow on a day-to-day basis. Otherwise, if you had, you'd be there. See, without a plan, you don't arrive. You want to take a trip to Greece. Well, try and get there without a plan. You won't. Because you got to plan the trip, you got to plan the airline, you got to plan the hotel, you got to plan the money, you got to plan everything. Well, the same thing with this business. Understand what makes it up, then plan out how you're going to do it. Okay, so we've got, let's talk about this topic, tips on relaunching. So all it is, you know, coming up with a decision that you're going to play a game and then create what the new game is for you. That's all. So again, I'm coming back in this business. My income is at a certain level, and we don't need to discuss that in specifics, but I want to double my income. There's my new game. So I got to figure out how to do that. So I look at my team, I look at who's working, I look at and say, okay, so in theory, it's a simple answer, double the volume. Double the size of the organization. That's all it is. So you want to relaunch your business, then that's, you know, what's your goal? What's the reason for this goal? What's the overall plan? What kind of rules and regulations are you going to set for yourself? Are there any projects you need to do or get out of the way so you can get going? What orders are you going to give yourself? Now, here is a key one that you brought up, Madeline, on tracking information, are statistics. Now, yes, I'm a statistic guy because I was taught this. All a statistic is a measurement of production. But what that shows you is what happens when you do something. And I'm going to give you this story. I was in the telemarketing industry many, many years ago, and I kept track of statistics even then. And I would make 100 dials a day on the phone. And during that process, I'd reach about 20, make 20 contacts. In that 20 contact process, I would talk to about maybe 10 to 12 people, and of that I would be able to make enough connection with those people to send out 4, 5, or 6 packages of information which they would review and look at for a potential investment. So we got the 100 dials, we got the 20 to 25, you know, contacting somebody. We'd get 10 to 12 people to actually talk to, and 4 to 5 people would actually accept the information. Then a week later, I'd have 4 to 5 people to call back on that given day to make a full presentation to. Now, if we did on the 4 to 5 a day, I would get back maybe 1 or 2 that were available to make a presentation. Doing that 5 times a week, I made 1 sale a week. On that 1 sale, I made $1,500. Not bad, but pretty good, but not enough. So I started to say to myself, well, which one of these things do I have to increase in order to double my income? Now, somebody might say, well, you need to double the number of people you're talking to. You need to double the number of presentations you made. You need to double your closes. Actually, those weren't the numbers that doubled the information. I increased my dials by 15%. And I went from 100 to 115, and that doubled my income. Interesting, isn't it? So by understanding the value of my production showed me where and how to work more effectively. So for example, let's say you're building this business and you're going out and you're talking to 5 people a week, and out of that 5 people a week, you do that for a month, that's 20 people, and you make 2 sales. So you track that. So you go out every day, you talk to them, and all of a sudden you say, okay, well, I got to do better, so I'm going to increase the number of people I talk to. You increase that by 10%. And I bet you quadruple yourselves. And here's why this is so important, and it's easy to understand. you're going to withhold yourself to the degree that you feel you need to withhold yourself before you give yourself a benefit. So if you don't think you're working hard enough, then you're not going to get anything coming in. But if you think you're working hard enough, then you're going to make it. It's a funny thing, but it happens. So in other words, bust your ass. You see, there's nothing more important than pushing out. It's not about pulling in. That comes. That's inevitable. See, you're on a flow. You're in a direction. You're working in what you're a Nikken distributor. What do? You sell Nikken products. Well, who do you need? You need people. So the game is not restrictive. The game is how many. And don't worry about the results. Just go to town. So whenever there's a shortfall in what you're doing, it's just do more. I'll give you the example. Have a slurp of water first. I reached Diamond in July or June of 1996. It was a great win. So I had a plan, and the next plan after I reached the level of Diamond was Royal Diamond. So I made a plan to go Royal Diamond in August of 1996. That was the next month, okay? I didn't waste any time. I new plan going Royal Diamond in August of 1996. Now, in order for me to go Royal Diamond, I needed to create, 28 or 30 new silvers in 3 legs. Huh. Okay, personally. So obviously, that was a tough thing to do, but it was still the plan. The plan didn't change for 2 years, and 2 years later, I went Royal Diamond. But each and every month, I had the same plan. I'm going Royal Diamond this month. And finally, I put it together. And finally, I did enough work to reward myself with the result. Nobody gave me Royal Diamond. I built it. I made it. But here's the point. I made it. No one gave it to me. No one did it. I created it by my effort and my energy. It took me 2 years to make it. So it took me 2 years to say to myself, well, I guess you deserve to be a Royal Diamond. You get the message. You get the message here. So in other words, if you create a plan and you do the things that you need to do, you're going to get to where you want to get to, provided you do the things you need to do. What most people do is give up. That's all. Now, would I say, okay, well, I want a plan to build a house on the moon because that's what I want. Well, for the next billion years, if you worked on that plan, you probably will have a house on the moon. But I'm talking about reality. I'm talking about things within one's reach. I'm talking about using tools that are available to you on a day-to-day basis. So conceptually, I'm not talking about how you're going to do this. I'm just talking about conceptually. Set the goal, understand why you have this goal, have a plan of this goal, set the policy by which you are going to play the game. Understand the rules and regulations. Okay, and then monitor your performance by statistic. Coming back to why am I here? Why am I jumping on board? Because the statistics change. We went from negative to positive. I couldn't support the negative. It was too hard. But I can support the positive. And that's all there is. Now, all along the line, I always took calls and I always did my 3-ways like a good boy, and I always supported people. I didn't go away, and I've always had that. If you want my help, call me, and I'm still here. I haven't gone anywhere. But I have a life to live too, which is the other opportunity that we all have to do is to live our lives the way we choose to live our lives. And that's the freedom of network marketing. So in order to get there, you might have to work a little bit harder or do a little bit more, or so on and so forth. So that's that. Okay, so we covered that one. Okay, so another question that was brought up is changing retail to business. I don't know if you can. I don't know if it's important. I don't know if if it makes any sense. I mean, if I had a whole bunch of retail customers, I'd like to keep a whole bunch of retail customers, because you need that for qualifying. But a business builder's got a different mentality. They got to be hungry. Now, if the retail customer is hungry, great. And if you ask the right question, great. You know, would you be interested in making an extra $5,000 a month? If they say, God, yeah, how do I do that? Well, then there you go. And there was always this question, do you go after the old or go for the new? Go for the new. Always go for the new. Because the new isn't tainted. Understand that 99% of the people that you're going to talk to have never heard of Nikken, don't know what it is, and have no idea of its track record. All they know is what you present them with. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So if you present the right story with the right information and provide them with a solution, then you've got a good chance at getting them engaged in joining you in this business. But that's something they've got to see. Now, we went away from that for a long time with the retail, because we're just selling product. Well, anybody can sell a product. And that's good. That's fine. You need product. I mean, understand this is your business, so it's comprised of customers and wholesale people and distributors. And if you're not getting what you want, then you got to just up the ante of what you're pushing out on a daily basis. Like, I was only doing 100 calls. I had to stay later, to come in earlier and make 115 calls a day. But it paid off in bigger dividends. Okay. The best way for the old timers to get going is, a saying, life is in you today, you create tomorrow. Yesterday's gone. You can't do a damn thing about it. And it's really not that important, because life's in you today and you create your tomorrows. So dream big, create a new game, jack yourself up, get yourself excited and motivated, whatever it is. And, heck, I said, oh God, what if I doubled my money? This would be fun. Whatever it takes. But that's the way you got to do it, and make a decision. But then come back to, what's the goal? What's the purpose? What's the plan? What policy are you going to operate on? And then move forward. And it's in a new unit of time. Now, this is very important. So I'll dramatize here. Yeah, I'm a Nikken distributor. Yeah, I've been doing this for 20 years. Yeah, I haven't made very much money. And yeah, nobody wants to play with me. And it's been a real struggle. But I'd like to talk to you about joining my business. I mean, it's ridiculous, but emotionally, that's how we talk. You can't see it, but other people can see it. So the idea is that, you get into a conversation and you, okay, what are you looking for? Well, you want a partner that thinks like you, or close to it, who is going to fit the mold of what you're trying to accomplish. Well, what are you trying to accomplish? Well, I want to build a network marketing group. I want to build an organization. That's why I got involved with it. And if that's why you're involved with it, well, then what do you need? You need somebody that's going to do the work. And that's how you make money. When somebody else does something, you earn something. Great. Your benefit is you get to bring them in. The company's deal is they'll pay you for that. And they'll pay you great. I made millions. They paid me millions of dollars. So hunting's fun. And that's what you do. You're hunting for a good partner. You're hunting for somebody that wants to play the game. So, don't cut yourself short and take, any Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes along. Make sure you qualify them properly. Because if you qualify them properly, and by all that means is that they want to play.
Dave,
and the guys that want to play are the guys that need to make it work. The people that need to make money, the people that need to put food on the table, the people that are looking after, their single parents or whatever, they got a family to look after, a mortgage to pay, something along those lines.
Dave,
But, that'll come with practice and skill and another time for another lesson. This is just a cursory overview. Okay.
Can I ask a question, Dave?
Yeah.
To have you elaborate there. I remember in your book and you sharing the story that when you started, you didn't have the money and you had 3 kids at home. So
Yeah.
you got dressed up in a suit and you set up your garage. You put your desk in the garage. So you set
Well,
up.
that was phase 2. That wasn't the very first part. Let me clarify. So you're right. I was broke. I was using my piggy bank to operate on. I had 3 kids and I put on my best suit and I went into a hotel and I just talked to as many people as I could.
So, but you put on a best suit. You were
Yeah, so I looked the part. They didn't know I was broke. But that's all part of, I had a little advantage. I'd been in sales and marketing, so I knew that in order to attract some attention, I got to communicate. But I knew what I had to communicate. I had to find out what was important to that person. See, if I said to you, okay, would you be interested in making $5,000 a month? And you come back to me and said, I can't tell you how that question is so exciting to me. I'm going to lose my job. And I make $5,000 a month, and I've been racking my brains out as to how I can make $5,000. What do you got? I mean, I've been there. I know this. I've been on that side of the coin where I needed to make money, and somebody says something that they can make money. What? What? What did you say? I can make money? So the idea of your communicating is to pull that out. You know it from product. You know it from the people that you put on the product and the product challenges that they have, and you find out that they've got, back pain, or they can't sleep, or they got, fibromyalgia, or they've got bone health issues, or whatever the case may be. As soon as you hear that, your eyes, your antenna just goes, blah, 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 blah. Aha, there's one. Aha, I got one. I got one. Why? Because you know how to use the product. And what do? They buy. And the same thing with the business. Now, why don't people do it as often as they can? I don't know if this was brought up, but people don't do what they don't understand. So you want to be careful in the way you communicate at the beginning. You always want to find out about who you're talking with. Tell me about yourself. That's why I started this conversation with, well, tell me, what do you want to talk about? I could talk about a gazillion things. I could talk here for a month, and I could keep you on this thing 24/7, but it may or may not be important or something that you need to hear. Time's precious. Look at the way we work today. Everything is this friggin' cell phone thing and the internet thing, and you got to be fast and savvy. But it's still a relationship business, and it's still growing, and it's still an opportunity. And again, the internet's becoming harder to make money with now. Yeah. It's not as easy as it used to be. I mean, again, it's just that's the way it is. So traditional, we're going to come back in favor. The home-based business. People are doing a variety of things today. It's not just one deal. So don't be surprised if you talk to somebody that's in 3 or 4 deals. So what? Who cares? I don't. But the good ones that you find are gonna, are gonna be the good ones. Now, let's move ahead a little bit here, just a tiny bit. The reason for the ones that I know who've been super successful and have had long-term success, the Michaels, the Daves, the Dave Johnsons, etc., was because of the size and structure of their organization. It was self-sustaining. It had a layer of people that needed to qualify because their income was greater than the effort to qualify. If you can understand that and get your wits around it, and you may have to have a few sidebar conversations with people to really get this down, that's the trick. So it's not just sponsoring somebody and getting them involved with the business that works. It's showing that person a longer term plan. I mean, when we started, it was at least a year's commitment to play. Otherwise, if you weren't committed to a year, forget it. It takes time. But the more you understand about what you're doing, the easier it is to get somebody to play and participate. I'll tell you this story. I had a girl in Australia, and she was in another organization, but anyway, I was talking to her, and she was brought into the business, and this was when we were still 20,000 was the deal to go silver, and she was told that if she went silver, she'd make herself $1,500. Well, what she did is she went out and recruited 4 people that did 5,000 each. So she had, she did a couple of, so a little bit of volume herself, and then at the end of the month, because they did all the volume, she got a check for like $180. Because that guy told her she'd make $1,500 and she didn't, she quit. Real simple. And there's a tendency in this business to over promise and under deliver. And I'd much rather you under promise and over deliver. But if the person understands that, okay, if you sell $100 worth of product, you make 20, then make sure that when they sell 100, they make 20. But if you say, hey, you do $100, you're going to recruit 15 people, you're going to go diamond overnight, and you're going to have a residual income of $5,000 in 60 days. Okay, I'll get started. Okay. And then 60 days later, nothing happens. Then it's like, well, you are a liar. It's one of them network marketing scam deals, blah, blah, blah. No. See, the deal is this. You're going to get paid for what you do. That's it. So be upfront about that. Don't kid around with it. Don't create any fancy pants, this is get rich quick scheme, blah, blah, blah. So again, it comes back to knowledge is so important to you. I mean, in your off time, then you should be playing around with that compensation plan. If I was mentoring one-on-one with any one of you, it would be read that compensation plan every day. Because we're going to test you. And I'm going to ask you questions. If you can't answer the questions, then that's a flunk. You don't pass. Because out there in the real world, you don't get many second chances. And so those are important things. So I think I addressed everything. I hope I wasn't too brutal.
No, one of the comments, remember in your class to make 5,000, or in your book, it was 83,333 PV in the day. Yeah. When the PV equaled the CV. So we have probably about 50% CV. So and then there's this retail markup for those that have a bigger retail business. So if we have if the group or any parts of the group would be interested in a future session I think that kind of a session of understanding, once we do the homework of studying the compensation plan, would be very helpful.
Yeah, and then I would work out some scenarios that make that work. You know, again, this is your business. So you got to put into it, you know, what you want to get out of it. You know, I remember the amount of time I put in was, I never even thought about it, but I'd get up early in the morning, I'd have my notes, I'd have my prospects, I'd have my day calendar done, I would have my income that I wanted to do, the bills I wanted. I mean, I was paying attention. Why? Because it was important to me. I had little kids, I had a wife, I had responsibilities, car payments, all that good stuff, rent, food, you know, so on and so forth. So I think, you know, from that perspective, yes, whatever it is today is what it is today. But you should have some kind of a grasp of what's required. Maybe that's too high for, you know, short term. Maybe you scale it down a bit. I don't know. Whatever you're comfortable with. Maybe you only want to talk about a $500 model. Whatever it is. At that time, I was a cocky, kind of an arrogant, you know, Southern California guy, you know. I've mellowed out it a little bit as I've got older. You know, you get older, you get wiser. What can I say?
I wonder if
But no, it's with all, what? Yeah, go ahead.
questions. I just wonder if someone has questions. Not some people are meeting you for the first time.
Oh,
Are
good.
you wearing socks?
No, I never wear socks. Hate socks.
Doesn't matter what he has that. He doesn't.
No, I actually wore socks today. Yesterday. I had to go out, and it was cold, and for Northern California, and I have a pair of shoes that I have to wear socks in.
You even have a sweater on that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I'm six. I'll be 66 this year, and so it's a little different. I started when I was 39 at this business, so yeah, it's great. I start to collect Social Security this year. I'm so excited about that. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, I am so excited about that. I get to collect. I get to file in a couple of months, and I get the good old government to send me some money. Good for them. Any questions? Any comments? Any thoughts?
You have to unmute yourself because I muted most people because of the background. So there's a little icon that looks like a microphone, so you need to unmute it.
Well,
David,
next
from
step.
Cleveland.
Yes.
Dave, I want to thank you for coming on and giving us this very enlightening seminar, lecture, whatever it is. So what's the next step, you guys, Madeline and Dave?
Well, you know, again, Madeline's leading this whole evolution thing, so I'm going to leave that up to her.
Whatever people want, we can schedule something. One of the things I thought about is we have the need to put our calendar together, and probably what most of us are missing is the business training, like a monthly business training or the old Saturday morning business training. So I think some of the topics, if people just type in what you want and what times are best, we're in different time zones. Whoever's not speaking, if you could just mute out again.
Or as Deuteronomy.
Oops, somebody else moved out. Okay, well, you could let us know, but I think we had enough. Just let us know. We can, Dave, you'll come back again, right?
Oh, absolutely. Just let me know what you need and want.
Okay, and you're going to Orlando, so whoever's in
Yeah.
Orlando, we could have a meal with you or something and
Sure.
have a breakout session with you there.
Yeah.
And then Elaine Connolly had a question, Stan, when you started talking. Elaine?
Yeah, no, I didn't have a question. I want to thank you, Dave, because vested interest, I actually read it 3 times when I first joined Nikken, and then you were
cool.
here in Akron. And I was the one that asked about, you know, starting a new person off. And basically, you gave me you brought me back to what I remember. All right. And you're right on with what I needed. Second comment is we need to read the policies and procedures, because in the policies and procedures, when we bring somebody on as a consultant, we are supposed to be giving them a copy of that and going over it with them to hit the high points to make sure that whoever is coming in here to work this business knows how to work it and what the compensation plan means, etc. But it is in the policies and procedures that we do that we train and support the people that we bring into the business. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I mean, just to tag on that one, if you think about it logically, you're looking for, if you bring in, I mean, I've had partners in this business for 25 years that I've worked with, and we've partied and we've traveled the world and we've made a lot of money together and we've helped each other, et cetera, et cetera. So the value of that relationship with the right person is priceless.
Right. Right.
So, right, good point. Okay.
Price.
Dave, I have a quick question. This
Sure.
is Cindy Weiscarver
Yes,
in
sir.
Louisville, Kentucky. And so you were talking about your daily tasks. Is there any way you could send Madeline just kind of your little checklist that you would go down each day or the night before? You were talking about having your list made, just to give us an idea of the things you went through each day just as a business, because I'm a teacher. So a teacher and a business person are very different. So the things I do every day as a teacher are not things that a business person does. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And then at the same time, I think they're very similar in concept.
Yes,
So
concept, yes.
you've got 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours in a day. So, you know, I would get up and I would have a cup of coffee and I would go over my emails, and then I would do my battle plan. I would check my bank. I would look at what tasks do I have to do today, in the sense of, do I have any logistical situations, go to a doctor, go to a dentist, whatever the case may be. Do I have any follow-up calls to make? Do I have prospecting time in there? Do I have any lunch appointments? Do I have any three-way calls, et cetera? So the daily activity, or the day planner, is the activity list. So if you've got a day planner that's empty, there you go. If you've got a day planner that's full, well, congratulations. Because production is the basis of morale.
The original
And
business.
so if we're not producing, then we're not happy campers. If we are producing, we're usually pretty happy campers, because when we produce, we can get results. So all I did with my day calendar was fill it up with stuff that would get me a result.
That's my problem.
Now, yes, I can still do that and send Madeline something, and I'll be more than happy to do it. But just as on this call, so to answer your question.
And I don't have everybody's email, so my email is madelinezAW@gmail, and Dave's email is?
Rolfman@earthlink.net.
And your telephone number?
617-388-9109.
Hey, Jay.
It changed, Dave.
Well,
On your book, it's 617-244-0400, just to let you know.
Yeah. That did change, yes. You got me, Suzanne.
Hey, Dave. We're happy in Chicago because
Okay.
relaunching Chicago area,
Good.
and happy to see you. Been in the business a long time, and
Great.
happy to reconnect.
Great, fantastic. Well, Chicago's a great marketplace.
Yes, it
And-
is.
I have seen Chicago start and stop several times.
Yes, we're starting again.
Yeah, and here's the positive of that. If we look at the cycle of life, there's a whole new group of people that are prime candidates that don't know anything about this business.
Exactly.
And it's always going on.
Right.
So there you have it. Good luck.
Right.
Go to town.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I have two quick questions.
Sure.
Your name of the book is Vested Interest, right?
Yes.
And that can be bought anywhere?
I don't know. I stopped publishing it a number of years ago. I have found people that have found it on Amazon and eBay.
Okay.
So somebody, this is funny. I never thought this would happen. I was mentoring somebody and I said, oh yeah, I went on eBay. Somebody was selling that book. So there you go. People sell anything.
Okay. Second question was one thing I did not understand. I don't know if I can repeat the key word. If you were talking about, I think, the compensation plan, and you mentioned Dave Johnson, something about making money, and that went right over my head.
Ooh, I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry.
I think what
That's
you
right.
said, Dave, is that there were a few people that have always made money because they built the network correctly.
Yes. Okay.
No, I understand that was something else, but that's all right. It's okay.
Very good.
Thank you for your time. I enjoyed
Oh,
it.
you're welcome. Thanks for being on the call. Appreciate it. All right, Madeline. Well, very good.
Thank you.
Hope this was a good call. We did it.
We did it. You did it. Thank you so
Let me
much.
know what's next.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Coming in on a Sunday evening.
Yeah. Ciao.
Ciao.